If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
The blah blah.
Sending out good vibes.
The blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
The blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection, and put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track, shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
Now, at that point, we're going to have to do some elemental analysis on the adhesive that's on these artifacts and check it against this glue that we might be able to fake and see if it matches.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. We are going to be chatting with Scott Wolter a little bit later of America Unearthed famed. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that TV show. Fantastic chat, fantastic guy. We get into Freemasonry and all sorts of fun stuff like that along the way. We got the Jingle King himself come to join us for a few minutes in the intro and talk about his new album that's coming out. Of course, it's going to be a bit of a short intro because it's in the middle of a jam-packed night with 3 interviews. And we got everybody's favorite co-host here, Graham Blue Blocker Dunlop. How's it going, buddy?
These aren't the blue blockers, buddy.
Those are just your reading glasses?
I've only got one by my bedside.
If you're blue blockers, so those are just your reading glasses now?
I don't want to blue block anything now because I need to stay awake for the show all night.
That's right.
I don't want to be putting myself to sleep. I need that blue light.
You need extra blue light.
I need all that fluorescent blue light just fucking my system up.
Bring it in.
Bring it in.
Bring in the blue light.
How you doing, Felix?
I'm good. I'm really good.
Looks like you got a new set of cans there too, buddy.
Music.
Yeah, these are actually for mixing sound. They're supposed to be really flat sound, and you can actually there's a toggle switch on the side of the headphones that it turns the sound into mono. You go back and forth between mono and stereo.
Oh, that sucks.
How do we sound extra flat?
Yeah, you guys are good flat.
Good flat? B flat?
B flat. B flat.
The B flat.
Or E flat.
Do you want to talk about Felix's stuff right away, or do you want to jump into some listener emails, Darren? What do you think?
Why don't we jump into some listener emails? You were going off over there saying you had this.
I have a great
synchro, so maybe we should let you get that. You're all excited.
I'm interested to see what Felix is going to say about this one too.
Super
it might make
excited.
you cry. It might almost made me shiver and cry. So we'll see what happens.
You think it might make me cry? Are you calling that? That I might cry on the show?
Not you. Well, you might be. You've been doing a lot of work lately on yourself, so you might be open for that.
I've run out of tears.
I want a good score for my synchronicity. If Graham reads it out, then Darren might give it to me. Hey, don't you please read it low, yeah.
All right.
Actually, I forgot. I'm going to read his first email too. Hey boys, just dropping a line to inquire as to what your preferred way to support the show is. I've been lurking in the shadows listening to your interviews for about a year now. I have to admit I've been convinced by your increased output of late to follow suit and pry open the old wallet and start putting out myself. I ask for your preferred method because I want to make sure you get the most bang for your buck. What method hits you with the least amount of fees? I plan to do a large lump sum. Sorry, I'm a piece of shit for not mooching all your free content while I pay for cable TV that we don't even watch payment, as well as setting up a monthly recurring payment. I finally told the wife the cable has to go and we're splitting the money we spent on that on a few of our favorite podcasts. What a great idea. Because we were talking about that. Like, get rid of that cable and support some of your favorite independent like podcasters or YouTubers or whatever. I mean, what a good way to do it.
That's right. And that's the first person who listened. Congratulations. You, sir, are a trailblazer. You know who else? Danny Warbucks canceled his Netflix, sent me the screenshot.
Oh, Netflix. Well, yeah, that's a tough one. Wow. That's great.
Commend him
Netflix
for it.
usually comes after the cable. But.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he hasn't had cable for years. He's like next level. I can't cancel the Netflix yet. This is a problem. Because my kids like to watch their shows sometimes. So
exactly.
I don't want to, I don't know, it's a tough decision. Like, do I take that away from them being able to watch their shows because that's where I'm at? Or
Just do some puppet shows for them.
That's a good idea. Just do live theater for your kids.
how much free time do you think I have? I get some puppets and do a play. They should do the play for us. Actually, that's a good idea. I'm going to get some puppets and see if I can get them to put it together a little production.
So I'll finish off this email. So let me know if you want a book shipped to you with some cash in it, US or Canadian dollars, or one of your electronic payment options. You guys have become one of my absolute favorite podcasts and look forward to the episodes each and every time they drop. Keep up the good work. And if you get back to me, I'll give you one hell of a synchro that I have. Do you want to turn this into a little support segment?
Support the show.
Mention what your favorite preferred digital support is.
Right now
we love getting books into P.O. Box.
Yeah. Right now it's Stripe or Patreon because the PayPal, the S2 member press fucking plugin broke and I don't know how to fix it. So I can't get as of right now, I can't get the monthly subscriptions to even work.
What?
So I was trying to fix that last night. I couldn't get it going.
Is it PayPal?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I got it up. I got the PayPal.me link up there at least so people can make donations. And I can
one-time donations?
I think there's a button at the bottom.
So they can do one time, but they can't do monthlies, or what? What are you trying to say here?
I think there's a button at the bottom you could hit to make it do a monthly. But if you're having trouble, email me and I'll sort you out. I can email you a link.
Darren@gramerica.com.
Well, I'll probably get to fixing all that shit this weekend. I'll probably just delete the whole fucking member thing and do something else. But I don't know. I gotta get the monthly thing. But for now, just hit the Stripe button, hit the Patreon button, sign up there.
The book in the mail is fantastic too. We got a bookshelf here that we need to sort out and categorize. But we always love getting books for the studio.
That's right.
And I'll make sure that I flip through the pages when I get it.
I wonder how much money's in that bookshelf right now.
Nothing, probably.
Or Super Hurtin' will just be here going through all the books.
And if you don't get an email back from us, I try to reply to everybody. Please send me one and remind me. Graham@gramerica.com. Because I do lose track.
Let's hear
it. Okay, Felix, you ready for this one?
Yes.
Felix should sing the synchronicity jingle live.
Felix didn't make the synchronicity jingle.
I know, that's why.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Okay, thanks for the emails back. Subscribe today. I've been pouring through the new content. Thanks again for all you do. As promised, here's the synchro. I met a guy in high school my freshman year. What's freshman, Felix, down there?
That's 9th grade.
9th grade. Okay, we just call it 9th grade.
That's a freshman here, too?
No, I don't think so. Not where I grew up.
Well, you grew up a long time ago.
Is that what it is?
Must be.
They started calling it freshman in the 90s? Or
mind you, they called them freshmen in my Archie comics.
Oh, I know, but that's American.
Freshman,
that's why.
sophomore, junior, senior.
So junior's grade 11?
Yeah.
So weird.
Just read the email, old guy.
We hit it off in class and had so much in common that we quickly became friends that winter. And I invited him to my parents' house for a small party for my birthday. He asked me what day it was, and I told him, and he looked at me like I was joking. His birthday was the same day, same year. He was 3 hours older than me. Before long, we were best friends and inseparable. Perhaps our people even thought we were brothers. Don't worry, this isn't a separated at birth story. It's much deeper and darker than that. The following year, we've been best buds through thick and thin. That summer, we're out in a farmer's field smoking weed and staring at the night sky. This was the period before the Matrix movies come out, but the Truman Show had us wondering if reality was actually what we had been told. We got very introspective as partakers of the devil's lettuce are prone to do, and we started brainstorming on how much we had in common. We started listing off things that we both had done in our lives, and the similarities were eerie. We'd been friends for almost a year at that point. It was that night as we rattled off random facts about ourselves that we discovered that not only did we have the same birthday, but so did our dads. While they didn't share the same year, they were both born on the same day as each other. We started hypothesizing that perhaps we were entangled in some sort of way on a universal level. After thoroughly creeping ourselves out and letting the high wear off, we laughed it off and went about our lives. We stayed best friends through high school, went to college together, and everything was great until we both met girls that couldn't stand each other. The more I think about this part now,
trouble.
this is weird because this is this kind of, okay, it makes sense now in the end. So we both struggled to get them to get along and inevitably ended up driving a wedge between us as we both got married to these women. We remained friends, but nowhere as close as we had been. We ended up growing apart after moving to different cities, and before long it had been 10 years since we had even seen or spoken to each other. Well, as life would have it, I ended up getting a divorce, and when it was all finalized, I went out to get a drink to celebrate. I was thinking about my buddy and all the events that had happened over the last decade.
This can't be going where I think it's going.
Not quite, but
okay.
Deeper than that. Where was I?
Guys are going to get married?
That was a Brokeback Night in the Under the Stars. I was thinking about my buddy and all the events that had happened over the last decade in my life and how I wish I knew what he was up to. I had moved across the country, lost a parent, changed careers, and now divorced. I wondered if he was okay. Did he have kids? Where was he? While I'm sitting at the bar, I look up at the ceiling thinking about that night in the field, and my phone's text message alert goes off. It's my dad saying to give him a call. Figuring he wanted to check on me after the divorce, I give him a call. He answers and tells me my buddy had gotten a hold of him and was looking for my phone number and that he gave it to him and hoped that was okay. I started crying and laughing at the same time and asked if he got his number from him, and which he did, so I immediately called my friend. He told me he had been sitting at his computer thinking about me and used an online background check to track down my dad in hopes of getting to me. He was going through a hard time in his life as he was just finalizing a divorce earlier that week. 10 years later, and we both got divorced the same week. I told him about my divorce and we both just started laughing. There was no way this was happening. I got serious and told him my mom had died a couple years ago. And he got quiet and said he was sorry and asked what she died of. I told him she died of cancer on Mother's Day of 2010. There was dead silence on the phone. Now, this is where I'm starting to get shivers. I asked if he was there, and I heard him sniffing on the line. I told him it was okay and knew he had loved my mom like his own, but then he told me that his mom had died on the exact same day in a car accident.
What?
A chill, like this chill right now. I mean, a chill went down my spine, even bigger than the one I just got writing this down. We immediately made plans to meet up. We lived 15 hours apart in different states, but we were together in person the next day. We've lived in the same town now ever since. We work in the same profession and talk every day. We still joke about the Truman Show and Tangled Theory when we were kids, but take it a little more serious than we did back then. You guys keep up the good work, and thanks again.
You guys should start a podcast.
Eh? Holy, what a story, eh?
Did they both go bald?
Way to try to lighten it up,
Yeah,
Felix.
Felix.
No.
Thanks, Felix.
Wow, I got to give it a 9.5.
9.5, yeah, that's one of the highest synchros ever. I mean, that's just one of those incredible stories.
Actually, I'm going to give it a 9.7. Actually, no, 9.5 is fair because I forgot that Dan's got the extra 0.42 bump because it's so 0.5 more than Dan's is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Felix?
Pretty good. It reminds me of I think I've read some synchros of people, dying on a street, and then a year later, someone who's related dies in the same area, and things with like twins and that.
Oh yeah, that crazy stuff. Yeah, it's the stuff that does make it feel like it's fake. Like we're living in a simulation.
That's what I kind of chalk it up to a little bit.
Like Grimerica episode 370. So what's new, buddy? You got your new album out? What'd you call it?
I ended up calling it Nighttime Boutique.
Nice.
And the reason is because I do a lot of the recording and mixing and
in
stuff
the closet,
in this studio at night. And the boutique aspect was just to make it kind of have a little bit more value, make it seem like it's worth something. And it was originally, I was going to call it Nighttime Boutique Mixtape Volume 1 Recipe Book. But I thought that would be a little too too cheeky.
Takes
Sounds a little
forever
too
to
foodie.
fucking scroll across to Spotify and stuff too. You got to think about that. Keep that in mind. I mean,
Hey, I'm not even-
we had to drop
I don't-
Grimerica Talks too because it was just spamming.
Yeah, I don't even I probably won't even stream it or anything. So the only way you'll be able to get it is through sirfelix.bandcamp.com. So it's Nighttime Boutique. I have a little write up about it. You guys want to hear the write up?
Yeah, let's hear it. I've already listened to the whole thing. I've already bought it. Was I the first
right.
person to buy it?
Maybe second. I think Grimsteak was my
Fucking
my number-
Grimsteak, you piece of
number
shit.
one number one fanboy. So this is my little write up, and then I can give you guys tell you all the tracks on.
Did I
on
pay
here.
more than him at least?
I'm not going to disclose that.
Did we? As if it came out of your account.
We, yes.
Oh, you guys both bought. You guys share it. You share the.
Whoa, Graham, Jesus Christ. Copyright, you're going to get us nailed.
So I'll read the track list after I do the little write up, and then if you guys want to hear a little backstory about one or two of the songs, I thought you guys could.
Yeah, for sure.
Want to get a little bit of info on them.
And then I'll
So,
play the album in order for the next however many episodes.
Sure. These are the good quality ones. I sent you a lot of bad quality versions of them, like demo versions, but the ones that are on the album now are like.
When are you remaking Free Thinkers?
Maybe in like 2 years.
2 years.
I'm busy for the next 2 years.
You're booked up. You're booked solid.
Your book stall it on the Cruiser with Steak show or what?
Something. All right, let me read this right up. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. So I put a lot of time and effort into this album. I hope it shines through. Some of these songs are old compositions I re-recorded to see if I could draw some more magic out of them. Some of these songs are shiny and brand new to my discography. I find a lot of joy in piecing these songs together. All instrumentation and vocals are done by Sir Felix himself. That's me. I'm looking to make upwards of $10,000 on the sales of this album. Thank you for scooping up the digital album with your monetary units. The songs will bounce. The songs will hang out with you. You and these songs could be really good friends. You might even arrange for a slumber party or two with these songs. You might even come up with a secret handshake with these songs. You might even write these songs into your last will and testament. You are here to listen to this album. I'm excited for you to hear it. On this digital album webpage, I have written facts and information about each and every song on the album. You might get some insight into the songs if you read those and listen to the songs in tandem. Welcome to the album entitled Nighttime Boutique. You break it, you buy it. No shirt, no shoes, no service. You can hit play now. I recommend listening to this album all the way through. That's what I wish for you to do. But you have the free will to listen to the first song today and then listen to the second song 10 years from now, if you'd like. MP3 technology might not exist in the future, so you might need to come back here and download a newer quantum computer file on the album so you can listen to it with your holographic futuristic music playing technology. Guys have flying cars yet? Okay, gotta fly. Bye.
Is this the follow-up to Filament Firmament?
Yeah, so that was kind of my last kind of full kind of album kind of thingy. But
It's an
this has
amazing
more
album,
songs.
by the way.
Thank you.
That is my. I mean, I haven't gone through all the Nighttime Boutique yet, but Filament Firmament was it's special.
Yeah, that one had that sonically what I recorded, and I think the Filament Firmament turned out really nice. I struggle a lot with this Nighttime Boutique because I think I just recorded it. I didn't record it. I recorded it really fast, but then when you go back and mix it, if you recorded it really fast, then you have a lot of trouble.
Dude, Led Zeppelin recorded their fucking first album in 12 hours.
This one I recorded over a period of time.
That's because they had to hurry up and get those stolen songs on the tape.
So you guys want to hear the track list?
Absolutely.
Okay, so number 1 is Hyperdrive. Number 2, Pinch and Pennies, Free Prizes. Shakespeare Sonnets is number 3. Number 4, Causing a Time Rift. Number 5 is The Sky is Falling. Number 6 is Plato's Cave. Number 7 is Hit Song. Number 8, Immortal Tortoise. Number 9, Disco Ball. Number 10, SSU. Number 11, Took Me to a Mountaintop. Number 12, Son of a Synth, Encore. I just thought I'd kind of like whet your appetite with the names of the songs so you go out and buy
that's
it.
fantastic. That's a good idea.
And
What's your favorite one?
Plato's Cave. I really like how that turned out. That one, the vocals were really kind of bad, but I was able to kind of rein them in, and just the whole. It's a journey when you listen to it. It's like a 7-minute song, and there's some synthesizer, and there's a little bit of philosophy in it, and a little bit of little bit of magic. And again, I gotta tell you, it's sirfelix.bandcamp.com. You guys know that, right?
Oh yeah. We'll put a link.
It's also
in,
in
the show notes.
every show notes.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah, and you can pay
immortalized
whatever-
in every show notes.
You can pay whatever you want. It's $15, but you can pay more if you'd like, that kind of thing. And do you guys want to hear like one or two of the songs, just like the backstory on them?
Yeah, Hyperdrive.
Hyperdrive. Let me open it up here. I got a little write up. If you go there, you'll see it. I put this one together on a whim with a little reed organ. My baby boy was standing by as I was recording the reed organ and background vocals simultaneously. Here and there, you can hear my son is cooing, but you have to really listen for it. My main focus was to write some meaningful lyrics. You be the judge if I accomplish that feat. It might just have to do with something about transcending space and time through love and wisdom. Welcome to the Nighttime Boutique. Safe travels. When you turn into a beam of light, your worldly worries go dim, fade away.
There you have it.
Fantastic.
You want to hear about another one?
Plato's Cave.
Plato's Cave. I got a good little write-up about this one. You ready?
I'm ready.
Most everyone wants to be saved. In this song, I've clumsily got myself stranded somewhere. It's a jungle of confusion. I may have eaten some poisonous mushrooms in the song scenario. Help. In Plato's cave, the shadows on the cave walls are all we know of reality, never knowing the true source of the shadows. Some trickster spirit only gives us glimpses of reality through his fire and shadow play. The hope is someone will come in and save us and show us the true nature of the world. Walk us out of the cave, opening to at last bear witness to the canopy of the limitless sky. That's the hope. Sonically, I had a tough time reining this song in to its final form. I had a lot of sibilants in my vocal recording that ruined my vocal takes. I still use them and somehow made them work for me. I have a small Korg synthesizer that I use on this one. In the intro and outro, I tried to simulate the sound of a crackling fire with the synthesizer. Did it give you that impression of crackling flames? Like Plato's cave, the reality of it is not what it seems. Life is but a dream. As the song closes, I feel there is some resolution. Maybe you, too, will find some resolution in the nooks and crannies of this composition.
Nice.
We're going to have to cut this intro short, I guess, because we got an interview with Dylan
Lewis
Monroe in like 3 minutes. But we're glad you could come on and get the song out. We encourage all our listeners to buy it. If you haven't figured it out yet, Felix is the outro music for the last 100 episodes or so, or maybe 200. I'm not sure. Check it out. Let me know. He did the Christmas video. He's done over half of the jingles, and we love him.
Thanks, guys, for this opportunity. This is nice for you guys to let me do this.
Nice to chat with you again, Felix. Well,
Yeah, it's been a while.
come on for a longer one next time where we don't have to sort of rush.
Next summer, I'll come up there in Canada and visit you guys.
There you go. That's good.
Summer.
There you go. We might make it down that
You
way.
can always
Yeah.
come in the winter too, like, you know.
I don't know about that. We got winters here too.
How far are you from Winnipeg?
Well, I'm in like northern Wisconsin towards like
How far are you from Minneapolis?
Minneapolis is probably like a 8-hour drive, maybe.
Oh yeah, so you're probably a little ways. Yeah, you'd probably be a good like 12 from Winnipeg. Because I'm in Winnipeg sometimes. Maybe we meet halfway.
We'll coordinate.
We'll coordinate some shit. We'll jam.
A little bit of acoustic guitars,
That's right.
dueling banjos.
Doing fucking banjos. All right, guys. Well, thanks. We're sorry the intro is short. I'm sure I'll get some feedback on how the intro is short and cheap. And
Well, the synchro made up for it.
the synchro made up
I'll
with it. We
save
got
my
the
quote
highest
for next-
fucking synchro
I'll save my
score
quote for
ever.
next time.
We got Felix in the house. We're going to do 2 quotes next episode because we didn't do any this week. But that don't matter because you guys get to enjoy this fantastic chat. One and only, Scott Wolter.
right, we're excited to have Scott Wolter with us tonight. He's a forensic geologist and an author and the host of America Unearthed, which is back on the air this year on the Travel Channel. So thanks for coming on the show, Scott. How's it going?
Well, it's going great, and thank you guys for having me here. I'm looking forward to having a good chat.
Yeah, us too. We tried to get you on before your season 4 release on the Travel Channel, but it just didn't happen. So it's good to talk to you now. Anyways, you're still, I guess, halfway through, or I don't know exactly how far you are through, but how's it going there so far this year?
Well, it's going great. This is episode 9 of 10 tonight, and I think the episodes have been, call me biased, but I think they've been really, really good. But I have to say, last week's episode was one of the best. Tonight's was one of the most fun episodes for me to do for a couple of reasons. And then next week we finish with a Templar episode that is, in my mind, no question, the best episode of the whole season.
Nice. Did you also do a Templar episode in the first 3 seasons?
Oh, we did a bunch of Templar stuff.
That's right. That's what I thought. Yeah, I was watching
we did a whole bunch of, and it was all good. But I have to say, we still have more content to go that is, in my opinion, the best ever. And I'm hoping we get another season to start in on that.
Yeah, that's good. It's been interesting following your work because we don't get your new show in Canada, actually, so I had to look up some of your old stuff on YouTube and all that. So
you guys haven't seen any of the episodes?
Not the new. We have people that are helping.
I've seen a few.
Yeah, Darren.
I'm not going to say how, but I managed to see a few, and they were great. I've seen some old ones on YouTube.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear that. And whatever you got to do, man.
And we've got some fellow researchers that have been watching it for us as well. And we saw a lot of the old stuff. And what surprised me is how, I expected it being on TV and all that to be a little bit more, mainstream. But I really liked how you push back on the mainstream narrative, especially as far as our history goes. So I really appreciate that part.
Well, I didn't plan things to go the way that's gone. I was just minding my own business, doing my work, and, some artifacts came into my life, most specifically the Kensington runestone, and, I never heard of the damn thing. I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't understand or realize that there were paradigms of history that you're not supposed to tread on, and, that's just not my wheelhouse at all, and we call it as we see it, and I'm used to some of my customers not being happy with the results. When a problem happens, they want to know what caused it, and ultimately they want to know who's responsible, and I'm going to tell them. And sometimes it's good news, and sometimes it isn't. Sometimes, in a few cases, we've actually put people out of business, and I feel bad about that, but the results are the results. The data is the data, and we call it as we see it. And that's what we did in this arena. Unfortunately, certain powers that be didn't care for that.
Yeah,
Tough op, huh?
Yeah, so that Kensington runestone event was quite a while ago. So you've been exploring, alternate history for probably, 18, 19 years or something by now?
Yeah, it's about almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years next, actually it's 19 years this July. It'll be 20 next year. It's a long time. In some ways it's gone really quickly, but I have to be honest and say there have been times when it seems like some of the events that happened early on were a lifetime ago. It's weird.
Yeah. What were some of the paradigm shifts that you've had if you're thinking back on the journey and getting into the TV show for a few seasons there, like what are some of the, the big shifts? Because we talk about ancient mysteries and alternative history here quite a bit. And I keep, changing my paradigm over and over and over again on, how early America has been sort of civilized, and then the world itself. So, you must be going through all kinds of different shifts.
Well, yeah. There's, we've covered Well, my gosh, we've done 49 episodes now, and that's a lot of content, and we've covered a lot of different topics. I mean, I would say the common thread that we get involved in is stuff that's controversial, right? And, I guess that's part of the theme of the show, but there is so much, there are just so many things that are out there that we thought were one thing, and it turns out the truth is they're much different. The story is, the truth is actually much different. And it started with the runestone. And I have to say that's something that I definitely want to get back to, because some pretty significant things have happened in the last few years since we were on since the first run of 3 seasons ended. And actually this story just keeps getting better and better. And quite frankly, one of the things that I feel is really important now is, we're talking about what kind of a country that we have here in the U.S. and what are we all really all about? And I don't want to get into the specifics, and I really don't want to get into politics. But what I can tell you is that the people that are running the government right now on both sides of the aisle, certainly our president, have lost track of what our founding fathers intended. And if they really knew the truth about how our country was really founded, which began with the Kensington Runestone land claim, that was the stake in the ground that the Templars, put here, and then they handed the obligation off to the Freemasons, of which I am now a member of the order. And since becoming a member of the order, a lot of the questions I had about what our founding fathers were really up to have been answered. And it's no secret that all of our founding fathers, all of them, were Freemasons. And not only were they Freemasons, but they were also Knights Templar. And I firmly believe they knew all about the Kensington Runestone. I also know that they knew about the early Templars that were here. And if you stop and think about it, really, the whole story is quite simple. The Templars were persecuted by the monarchs of Europe, right? Specifically the King of France. And we fought a revolution against the monarchs of Europe, specifically in this case, the King of France, right? Mm-hmm. We wanted freedom from the tyranny of the monarchs of Europe. The Templars were also persecuted by the Roman Catholic Church. And I don't think it's coincidence that in this country we have a tenet that says freedom of religion. So when you stop and think about what the Templars' experience was all about and where did they disappear to, it's pretty obvious where they went. They came over here to establish a sanctuary or whatever you want to call it, where they could practice their democratic way of governing themselves and freedom of religion. I like to say freedom from religion, but that's my personal opinion. And really, that is the true origin of this country. And I think it's important for people to understand this and really go back and understand what the founding fathers were talking about. We are not a Roman Christian country, despite what many people today think. We are not. Our founding fathers were deists. They believed in a higher power. What you called it, how you honored your deity was up to you. There is not a specified religion in this country, and boy, you sure wouldn't know that based upon the leadership today. And I think people need to be reminded of that. That's what got us into trouble over in Europe, and it's getting us into trouble now.
Well, when did that shift? When did it get? Because it's been like that for a while. Yeah.
Well, actually, I think it started beginning in the 1800s after the Civil War.
Right.
And I think with the rise of Roman Christianity, I mean, the Roman Catholic Church has played a pretty prominent role in a lot of things in this country, starting from the very beginning. And it's been a war that's raged kind of behind the scenes. And a lot of this paradigm problem that we have is due largely to, in large part, I don't want to give them too much credit, but the Roman Catholic Church has played a significant role in that.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to sit here and bash people's religion too much, but at the same time, I think we have to be honest and truthful about the role that they've played and the negative impact they've had on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Most notably, the abuse by Catholic priests and the way that the institution has handled this crisis. It's been a travesty and a sham, and that's not picking on anybody. That's simple fact. But there's more to that, and there's more that's going to come out, and I think we have to call it as it is. But that's been a big part of the problem for a long time.
So how would a new president, deal with something like that? Like get you back to the founding fathers and the Constitution. Like what would it? I mean, I don't want to get too political, but it's an interesting interesting thing because
that's fine. That's fine. I think what we need to do is have an honest discussion, and it's not the politicians that are the ones that are going to be able to do that because they're not honest and because they're going to tilt the scales to whatever direction is going to be politically expedient for them. I mean, the president does it every day, but both sides of the aisle do the same thing. And, they pander to people that they think are going to help them get what they want. And this is part of the reason that we have so many problems, why things are so divisive right now. And you know what, guys? There's a couple of things that could happen, that should happen, that will help us get back on track. The first thing is very simple, and it's 2 words: term limits. If people really understood what our founding fathers wanted to happen, is the representation in Congress and in the Senate and anywhere else in our government was originally supposed to be that the brightest minds in our society were to serve their country in some capacity, either in the Senate or in Congress or in whatever capacity for a limited time. Then they were to go back to their practices, go back to the farms, go back to the factories, wherever they came from, and then be a repository or think tank. But they weren't supposed to have those jobs indefinitely. And, that is what has happened over time, is it's turned into an institution where you have people that are in these lifetime jobs. And they're cushy, well-paying jobs. They got the best health care plan of anybody. And when they retire, they get a huge salary and free health care for the rest of their lives. And that's why they fight so hard to keep those jobs. That is why, in this case right now, the Republican Party won't stand up to the current occupant because they don't want to get voted out of office. They know that their base expects them to support them regardless of what happens, and that's a problem. And when it's a Democratic president, it's the same thing happens. So term limits is a huge step in the right direction. It's not going to happen, but I think that would be a big part of solving this problem.
Yeah.
I think it should be like mandatory service. They just like randomly pick someone. It's like, boom. All right, Scott Wolter, get in there. All right, you got to go do your 2 years. 2 years. Go get in there. Go make it happen. Sorry, bro. It's like jury duty.
You have, first of all, Scott Wolter's not going to go anywhere near that political system.
Well, you'd be too old now anyway, I think. No, because look, if some of those people got in my grill like they get into each other, I'd be going over the top rope, and we could use more of that.
You can't do that.
The British system
in that regard.
I respect that they call each other. I like the British system. They're calling each other names. They're throwing stuff.
No, I'm not going to throw anything. I'm just going to go over there and slap them up. That's the way it's going to go.
That's
it. Throw down.
That's it. You think, and then you'd be president. People eat that shit up. Well, we better transition this pretty
hang on,
quick.
We got the second point still.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't want to get Scott in trouble.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you had the first point was the term limits, and the second point was.
Oh, right.
Well, the second point is I think that everybody needs to have a civics lesson on the Constitution. The Constitution, I hate to break it to people, is a Masonic document, 100%. Okay, it was written by, well, actually, the first Constitution for the state of Virginia was written by a very famous Freemason. Most people don't know his name. They might recognize it, but his name was George Mason. And Thomas Jefferson used that as the template for the Constitution of the United States. George Mason was a brilliant person. And for those of you that have been to Washington, D.C., and have been to the Jefferson Memorial, one of the most beautiful and innocuous memorials to one of our founding fathers in Washington, D.C., is George Mason's memorial. And it's right next to Thomas Jefferson. As you look at the Jefferson Memorial from the pond, as you walk through the building, if you take a left and cross the street, that's where George Mason's memorial is. And you should read some of the things that he's written and read about his life. But that Constitution is absolutely Masonic, and I think people need to understand what that's all about. Now, just to take this a step further, guys, and thank you for giving me a little bully pulpit, and admittedly, I'm biased, but I have to tell you, I studied Freemasonry and the craft for 10 years before I ever decided to join. And believe me, if there were some problems with the institution or things that I thought people should know that were negative, I would tell you. That is not the case. And, you know, I decided after studying it for 10 years that this was an organization that I wanted to be part of. And one of the things that I find so fascinating is that we lionize our founding fathers to the point of near godlike status, right? I mean, that's true. They were all Freemasons. And it begs the question, does the fact that these founding fathers, the fact that they were Freemasons, does that have anything to do with their greatness? I would argue that it does. And I think it's important that people understand more about Freemasonry, what it's about. It is not anti-Catholic. It is not anti-religion. But it says we don't care what religion you are, because at the end of the day, the deity that you venerate, whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, or a Buddhist, a Native American will take their obligation on an eagle feather, honoring the Great Spirit, whatever you call it, we're all talking about the same thing. And that is what unites us, not what divides us. And I can guarantee you this, guys. If we had more Freemasons in government today, I'm not saying it would solve all of our problems, but I can guarantee you this. You would have a higher percentage of people in Congress and in the Senate making decisions in the interest of the greater good than the personal good, and that you can take to the bank. Would it solve all of our problems? I don't know if it would, but would it make things better? Would we get more done? I'm confident that it would.
Well,
okay, I'm done.
Now that's assuming that we have some sort of Freemason system for women. I'm assuming when you say that.
Well, you know what? That was one of the issues that I had. Now there are organizations within sanctioned bodies of Freemasonry, Eastern Star, Job's Daughter, Daughters of the Nile. Is it on equal footing as far as involvement in what is done as Freemasonry? No. But I can tell you this, and I'm not violating any of my vows by telling you this. There's nothing that we do within Freemasonry that women can't handle. But it's a fraternal organization. It's been around a long time. It's been very successful. And, I didn't join the institution to try to change it, although I will tell you that there are other organizations out there that are similar to Freemasonry that do welcome women. And so if somebody wants to dig deep enough, they can find them.
Yeah. I think that would also help get us out of this materialistic paradigm that we're in too, if we have more.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, I think that's what it's hitting more than anything else. There's the knowledge and everything else, and that's all great, but most of the people aren't going to pick up on that stuff anyway. Most of the Masons aren't seeing all the ancient symbology. Maybe they are. I'm not a Mason. I come from a line of Masons.
You guys, I think, make a really good point. in Freemasonry, it's like anything in life. I mean, if you're researching something, you can take it as far as you want. And within Freemasonry, if you want to go through your Blue Lodge, which is the first 3 degrees, Master Mason, Fellowcraft, Entered Apprentice, Fellowcraft, and then Master Mason, that's what we call the Blue Lodge, the first 3 degrees. You can stop there and you can be involved in your lodge and do a whole number of things. You can aspire to be part of the leadership and go through the line. Maybe one day you can be the master of the lodge. That's one route you can go. Some people want to seek additional light. They want to learn more things. So you can pursue York Rite, Scottish Rite, that builds off of the Blue Lodge. So there's all kinds of avenues. You can take it as far as you want. That's up to you. That's the beautiful thing about your Masonic journey is it's totally up to you. And you can take it as far as you want, or if you just want to participate in Blue Lodge and go to meetings when you can, that's good too. It's all good. But I find that a lot of people that join today, especially younger people, want to learn more. Let's face it, human beings have these big questions that we all ask in life, right? Like, what is my purpose?
Yeah.
Is there a God? And what happens after I die? And for the longest time in history, people would go to, for the most part, religious institutions. Young people today are not doing that. They're looking for other ways to answer those questions. And I see a lot of young, really smart young people joining the craft, and man, they are taking it to some really great places, and they're doing some really great things. And I'll tell you this, I think young people today, you notice how every generation before talks about how great their generation was and how dumb the kids are today. I don't believe that for a second. In fact, I think the young kids coming up today are smarter than my generation. And we were pretty smart, I think. But the young kids today are so quick and, but they're still asking those same questions. And one last thing I just wanted to say about that. You said something that was really important about, it's not all about money. It's not all about fame and fortune, because I can tell you, careful what you wish for because you might get it. I love being a D-level celebrity. It's great. But the one thing that you will learn in Freemasonry that will be ingrained in you from the very beginning is a very simple concept. Everybody on this planet came into this world with nothing, right? You're going to go out that way too, all of us. And don't ever forget it. And really what's important is what happens in between. The impact that you make on other people's lives, on your family, on your friends, that's really all that matters. You can't take that money with you and that fame with you. So remember, you came with nothing, you're going to go out with nothing. So make a difference while you can.
Ultimately, I think that's why you're probably seeing, that's probably why you're seeing this higher caliber of person. You mentioned before that you've noticed that with the Masons. I think it doesn't even need to be the Masons per se. I mean, you probably notice the same thing with people that have successfully finished the AA program or Al-Anon, or people that are just meeting on a weekly or bi-weekly basis and being accountable to people and having real conversations.
Well, something, I think you're absolutely right. That's why I think it's important for people to be involved. And after we've gone on this rant talking about how bad, the Roman Catholic Church is, it does serve a positive function. And one of those functions is people come together that have like-minded views to talk about things, to share in their faith, and do those positive things. But what I think is important in Freemasonry, and I think is important in life, and here's where I see that organized religion sometimes can get off the track, regardless of what faith you're talking about. And that is, I think it's important that people understand that you don't need a conduit like a priest or a cleric or a rabbi to have a relationship with your deity, whoever or whatever that deity might be. You don't need that person to help you get to that deity, whatever it is. You can have that relationship yourself. And once you know that, all of a sudden, the power now is within you, not that other individual who's been given that power that, quite frankly, doesn't deserve it. Now, if somebody is doing their job right, they're going to help you foster that relationship that you have with deity, not control it and tell you what you need to do to get to that person. That's where the problems start. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's, there's a real absence of culture in our culture. It's like disappearing. There's no getting out to do any sort of camaraderie or anything like that, or even have, real conversations like we try and do here.
Well, because we're all buried in our phones, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else. But I also make an effort to interact with my friends, with my family, with my brothers at the lodge or at the temple. And, the one thing that I'll tell you, and Masonry is just one organization. There are other organizations where, people are part of something where they have other people that they have similar views and common interests. And so when you get together, you're already at a certain level with that person. You don't have to start from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And in Freemasonry, everybody has gone through some pretty profound experiences from the get-go. That's why when I travel the world or I go, even just uptown, and I meet another brother, we know right away that we have both gone through some pretty profound experiences that most people in society have not. So we're already at a higher level right from the get-go. It might even be a handshake and no words have been exchanged. If he gives me the right handshake, I go, "Oh, brother," and automatically, we're at a place where anybody else in the street, I just won't be at.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like fellow Gramericans.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
thing. We met a bunch of people at a meetup we had for 10 days with Randall Carlson. I mean, that's what it was like meeting a bunch of people that listened to the show.
Randall Carlson. I love Randall. He's a good friend and he's a brilliant guy. Where was that?
Pagosa Springs, Colorado. We're actually working on a couple more we're going to announce for 2020.
Okay. What am I, chopped liver? Come on.
Oh.
Well, we just finally met you. So, I mean, if we can get you out, I'd love to get you guys together at some point, 100%. We're going to do a Scablands tour next
Randall
year.
In the fall here. There's a Masonic retreat here in Minnesota that we have every year. And guys sign up for it that are into more of the esoteric aspects of Freemasonry. And Randall was there last year, and I think he's going to be there again this year. And it's just fantastic. And different people will give lectures. He gave a lecture. I gave a lecture. And it's just awesome. And other brothers will come from around the world and participate in these retreats. And it's for 3 days, and it's really just awesome.
Yeah, Randall and Brad. I think Brad was at that as well last year. We were actually just talking about that yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, so those guys are good friends of the show. We could definitely, if you want to do something together, it's definite possibility.
Well, keep us in mind. We'd love to do it. And I have a new book that's coming out. Actually, it was supposed to be out here, but they ran into problems with the formatting at the printer, so it's been delayed a few more weeks. But I was talking a little bit about the original founding of this country and the Kensington Runestone and the Templars, and of course we can't forget about our indigenous friends here in North America that played such a important role every time a culture came to North America over the thousands of years that they've been doing that. People just have not talked about the indigenous people. I mean, for crying out loud, when the Templars and these other cultures were coming over here, who do you think they ran into? The natives, right?
Yeah. And when was that?
Why haven't people talked about them?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because that presents a problem. They don't like talking about those sorts of things.
Well, that's right, because what will happen is the natives will tell the scholars what they've told me and other people, is they know all about these people that came here prior to Columbus, including the Templars, who I've heard them say personally, they called the Templars their blood brothers.
So you've been finding some stuff down in Mexico, I think, that pushes back the timeline quite a bit.
You want to talk about aliens in Mexico?
Well, I was actually, I mean, I want to touch on like what your take is on the whole younger Dryas and the stuff we just met with Randall about.
Oh yeah.
On what your take on, you know, what civilization was at, you know, whether it was an ice dam or a comet impact or whatever caused the flood myths. You know, I was curious as to what, because it seems like the episodes that I've seen, you're going around and looking at geology and all this other stuff. I'm wondering, you know, are you coming up on that side as well? That, you know, the Hancock and Carlson
yes.
side.
I mean, and I don't think it's really a discussion that you have to have for very long. And, you know, just an FYI, if we do get another season with Travel Channel, and I'm certainly not going to be presumptuous because I know how fickle this business can be, but if they do give us another season, that would be one of the episodes I'm going to lobby very hard for.
Nice.
Because two people that I greatly respect, one is Graham Hancock and the other is Robert Schoch, the Harvard professor who's a geologist and a friend. They have, I don't want to say competing theories, but a couple of different ideas about what caused the catastrophic disintegration of the ice sheets back during the Younger Dryas period that caused sea level to rise 300 to 400 feet to displace the multiple cultures, the probably most of the cultures that were living on the planet at that time to be displaced, because most of them lived on the coastlines, which were drowned by the sea level rise, causing displacement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And catastrophe for many of them. And that's why all cultures around the world have a flood story, because they were all impacted at the same time. Now, the question is, you know, what was this higher culture that existed? I think that we're now beginning to understand were the ones that created Göbekli Tepe and all the megalithic, you know, many of the megalithic sites we find around the world, the Great Pyramids in Egypt and Mexico and Southeast Asia and South America and all around the world that we're now finding are dating back and are much older than originally thought. And, you know, the two questions are, who was this higher culture that existed prior to the flood, and what caused that massive disintegration of the ice sheets? And there are a couple of competing theories, and one of the things that I suggested to these guys is, why does it have to be one or the other?
Yeah.
Why couldn't it be both?
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily want to get into all the details. I don't think we have time, and I want to wait and investigate it with those two. But I will say this: I think that there was a high culture that existed prior to the flood, the Younger Dryas period, prior to about 12,500 years ago, and I think that we could be talking about the Atlanteans.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, if you do that episode and you need anyone to carry any gear around, we're up for it.
All right. Well, listen, guys, you know what the requirements are: strong back, weak mind.
My mind is pretty strong, but I could smoke myself into a stupor. Especially if we're in Washington.
As long as you can just keep moving, man, you'll be good.
So where do you want to go from here, Darren? Because there's lots of stuff.
Well, I know you want to get into the aliens. Why don't you go ahead?
No, I didn't. No, go ahead. No.
You know what? I want to get into the aliens. Let's do it.
Right.
Let's do it.
So did you guys see the second episode that we had?
Darren?
No.
Our friend who's doing research for us on your show did, though.
Our buddy Brandon watched.
Okay.
He's in Montana, so he's able to watch the show. So he's been watching them.
Oh, okay.
And he's just
Okay. Well, here's what happened. We received a tip that there were some guys that were finding some artifacts down in the Veracruz area of Mexico, and they were called the Jack Detectors. And it was 4 guys that were, they're from Mexico, and they were really super nice guys. If they weren't, I wouldn't say anything. They were really good guys, and we got along great. And what they wanted to do is have me come down and look at this site and tell them what I thought it was. And they had some artifacts with them. And so I went out in the field with them to where they said these artifacts were collected. And we looked at the artifacts. I looked at the site. I looked at the carvings that were there. And then I told the guys, I'm not buying it. This stuff is not old. These artifacts did not come from here. One of the artifacts had a cleverly concealed UFO, the letters UFO, carved into the plate in a very clever way. And, I was a little bit concerned about how they would react to my telling them that I thought it was all BS, but they actually handled it extremely well.
Wow.
Now, that was the first 2/3 of the episode. The last part of the episode, I looked at artifacts from a completely different part of Mexico. Literally over 2,000 miles, well, I'd say about 1,500 miles away. And what we did was the guy, his name is Mark Russell, brought an artifact in, and that he had tested the glue, the adhesive that was used to attach some of the pieces of inlays that were put into this particular piece. And the dates that he got back were over 9,000 years before present.
Huh.
And I said, well, you know what, dude? I said, that's awesome. But you know what? I'm not buying it until I test it myself. And if this is a legitimate date, we have to be able to replicate it, right?
Yeah.
So I took my own sample at the start of the episode, and at the end of the episode, I got the results back. I sent that sample to my own lab, and they tested it, and I got the results back. And you know what I got?
Alien.
9,000 years BP.
Wow.
In 200 years of the test result that he got, and I was blown away.
That's crazy.
Oh, my God. I nearly crapped myself. It was unbelievable. So we had this big twist at the end of the episode where these artifacts that Mark is getting appear to be authentic. Now, I'm not ready to say 100% that they are authentic. There's no question that these artifacts show alien contact with indigenous people, presumably Mayans and other cultures in Mexico, although 9,000 years ago, archaeologists are going to say there were no Mayans. There was some type of a culture there, and what's depicted on these artifacts is not a primitive culture. In fact, it may be this culture we were talking about that was predated the younger Dryas.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I'm not 100% ready to say that this is all legitimate is because you have to ask the question, could that glue have been faked? Now, I'm not saying the answer is yes, but we need to dig into that question and see if we can create our own fake glue. Now, at that point, we're going to have to do some elemental analysis on the adhesive that's on these artifacts and check it against this glue that we might be able to fake and see if it matches. If it doesn't match, well, then it looks pretty good. So that has to be done, and I'm hoping, again, if we do get another season, to do a follow-up episode and do that testing.
Nice.
But I'll tell you what, guys, right now, man, the party's on, and people are having a good time with those test results.
Yeah, that's good. That was kind of Brendan's question on that episode was, has there been any follow-up on the dating of the artifacts after the show or anything you can add to those? So that's...
Oh, not yet.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to do it in a follow-up episode because it's going to take some cash. And it's going to take to do it right. And but at some point, I'm going to do it. I'm sure we can get some people to help us do the testing, but I'd like to do it on my show if I can. I mean, this is not a small thing. This opens up. I mean, this opens up a can of worms like you can't believe.
Yeah.
But to me, it's exciting, and I've never been a big alien guy. It's just never been of interest to me. But I'm interested now.
Yeah.
Big time.
It kind of fits into another question Brandon had as well, is about what is the biggest hoax you've debunked, and do you think it was to intentionally mislead you? So it kind of, it made me think of the first part of that episode where you talked about going, those guys with that UFO thing shown on there. Like, have you had to debunk hoaxes?
No, that wasn't intentional on their part.
No.
I think they stumbled onto somebody else's practical joke. But anyway, finish your thought. I just want to be. I want to be fair to those guys, because I think a lot of people automatically assume that they were the ones that faked it. I don't believe that to be the case. I don't know that 100%, but I want to give them a fair shake on that deal.
Well, it must be something that you have to be concerned about, I guess, is people hoaxing stuff intentionally and trying to get one by you. So have you come across that yet?
Oh, heck yeah! If you watch Season 3, episodes 12 and 13, it was a 2-part episode on tracking the Templars. It starts with me going out to Pennsylvania to look at an inscribed rune stone that had a hooked axe. It had a date in Roman numerals of 1208. And man, when I saw pictures of that thing, I was foaming at the mouth. But when I got out there, I determined pretty quickly that it was a modern hoax, and the guys that found it were the perpetrators. And if you watch that episode, you're going to see that I get in their grill pretty good on television, but I got into their grill even harder off camera.
That's good.
It did not end well.
So I meant to ask at the beginning when you talked about the Templar thing and the Kensington runestone. So how far back does that push the Templar arrival to North America?
Well, the runestone is dated 1362, so there's a hard date there. But there are other runestones that were left by the Templar that are dated 1401, 1402. But the Templars were coming 200 years before that. Yeah, they were coming here. I mean, they mapped the entire continent, and they were traveling with the natives. They didn't fight their way to Kensington. They traveled with them.
Right.
They had a relationship that was strong, a strategic alliance, because they shared a common ideology. I hate to break it to the scholars, but the Templar leadership were not Catholic. They pretended to be Catholic. You ever heard that phrase, keep your friends close, your enemies closer?
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason why the church was so pissed off and burned them, right? Arrested, tortured, and burned them. You burn people because you're pissed. And that's because they realized that they had been duped the whole time. But they were in the process of establishing the sanctuary over here in North America that eventually became the United States of America. And this is the true history of our country. And I think it's important that people in this country know that. They're going to know it when my new book comes out and I start lecturing, because it's a fantastic lecture. And one of the things I'm going to tell them about is what I learned when I became a Freemason, is that most of the Kensington runestone inscription is allegory. It's not real. Some of it's real, and I will help people understand what parts are real and what are allegory. For example, we were fishing one day. They weren't fishing for fish. I mean, my God, they were doing that every day probably to sustain themselves, right? They're not going to carve that on the stone. The question is, what does that really mean? Well, as a Freemason, one of the things that we are taught is about allegory, code, and symbolism. And once you know the keys to the codes, that's when you can start to understand what the language really means. And this is all through the Bible too, guys. Most of the Bible is not to be taken literally. It's allegorical. But that's another discussion for another day. But it's an amazing story, and when you find out what the runestone is really telling us, it's nothing short of fantastic. It's telling us a bunch of things, and I can't wait to tell people.
Let's hear it. No, I'm just kidding. I won't put
Yeah,
you on
but
the spot.
unfortunately, I think we're running out of time.
Oh, we got 14 minutes, just enough. No, I'm just kidding. Wasn't there a lady down in Mexico back in the 80s or 90s that found some fire pits down there that she was saying were like 50,000 years old, and they ruined her career
Yes.
over it?
Yep. And actually, I corresponded with her briefly, but she was ostracized within the academic community because that wasn't an accepted paradigm. And I mean, it was BS what happened to her. But I mean, over in China now, I think it was in China, archaeologists found a site that dates back 110,000 years. I mean, look, forget about the paradigms, people. This has been a big part of the problem. The paradigms are designed for manipulation, power, and control. That's what's happening within government right now, right? They're trying to say that this is what our nation is all about. This is what we must do, and people that don't agree with us, they're the enemy. I mean, that's just BS. And the same thing is true in archaeology. They tried to say this is what the history is, and anybody who does anything that steps outside of that is the enemy, and they need to be taken down. And I've experienced it myself. The problem is that they couldn't attack the work I did on the runestone because it was peer-reviewed and it was sound. So they can't attack the work, so they attack me to try to undermine my findings. That's an age-old technique, but that's not going to work either because I'm not going to back down to them. I never have and I never will, and it didn't work. But, I mean, the whole notion of science is supposed to be facts, interpretations, and then conclusions, always knowing that new facts may come in that will dictate a change in what was previously believed. Doesn't it happen all the time? A new study comes out and tells us that wine is good for you, wine is bad for you, coffee is good for you, sugar is good, bad for you. I mean, all this, it goes back and forth. It's based on new science. One of the problems has always been academics were afraid to change their opinion because they were worried about looking stupid. Well, you know what? If new evidence comes in and demands that you go in a new direction, you go there. It's called science. That's the way it works. But that's not the way that it has worked for people like that scholar you were just talking about.
Well, we've crossed over into a weird sort of scientism, I think, in 2019.
Well, it happened a few
I'm going to use that. I like that.
Yeah, it's like where the fucking facts go to the highest bidder, and that's at least on the product safety and food and what medical side of things. And then on the ancient history side of things, it seems to be more of an old guard than anything else. I mean, that's on the non-conspiratorial side. On the conspiratorial side, I mean, it's all fake for a reason. It's all fake. It's by design.
Well, and you've got these scholars that are, they criticize people that are not part of the club, right? I don't have the proper letters after my name. I'm a PG. I'm not a PhD. And so, I'm not legitimate, apparently. I mean, it's just crap the way they go about it, and it's so fraudulent. But, I really think that's starting to go away. And I think that a lot of this, this fake news and fake stuff that we're hearing about now is really it's gonna boomerang back.
Yeah, it seems to be.
I really do think.
Yeah.
I think this is sort of the end of all of that crap, and that people can sniff out BS pretty quickly, and there's so much BS flying around right now. It's unbelievable. But I really do think people are gonna figure it out. At least enough people are gonna figure it out that they're gonna demand that we get back on the right track. And the one thing I will say too that's really bothersome right now is how people are questioning the fact that climate change is real or not. They call it fake news. Are you even kidding me? Why are we even taking any chances with our planet? My God, the earth is our home. Why are we taking any chances at all? Is it for money? Why are we doing that? I just don't get that. That's not a political thing. That's a human thing. This is our world. We need to take care of it. Period. End of discussion. There is no pushback on that, in my opinion.
Well, there's a pushback on the way they're doing it. I mean, they should be focusing on some of the tangible problems instead of taxing us for carbon dioxide. I mean, I don't agree with the solution at all.
Well, I think it's even bigger than that. I mean, taxing us. I mean, don't even get me started on the taxes. I run a business, and this tax cut, that was just pushed through by the Republicans helped my business. But that money trickled down to the bottom line, and the people that own the stock take the money. It doesn't trickle down to the employees. We already did that back in the 80s and 90s with trickle-down economics. It doesn't work. And all that happens is more money goes to the rich, and they just funnel that money to the politicians that pass the laws that help them make more money.
Yeah.
So it's a fraudulent system, and, we end up paying for them to figure out creative ways to funnel more. And again, it's on both sides of the aisle. It's the Republicans have the spotlight right now, but it goes back and forth and back and forth. And this is why term limits need to come in. And I think that would be a big part of it would go a long ways to fixing that. But
don't you think there should be more of a debate?
Oil-based economy, we need to get off that too. We have other technologies we could be using.
I'm starting to question if democracy is even the best system. I mean, I see no evidence of it. It's just a fucking fight every day over, wanting to vote in someone else. We need to chop ourselves into smaller pieces.
Your whole life, and you're going to set the table, and people are fighting for parties. They're not fighting for the people. They're just not. They don't care about the people. They give us all that happy, excuse my language, horseshit. Talk about, this is what the people want. No, it isn't. You don't care about us. You care about yourself.
Yeah.
That's it.
I wonder if we dissolve the union between all the provinces and the states. Do you think even a state is too big? A state like Alberta, it might not be bad because it's 4 million people, but I mean, here we're fighting over stuff too, so maybe that's too much. You got to cut it down to counties.
Well,
there's
I don't know
4,000 countries in America now. Yeah.
Well, on one hand, you want to have regions take care of themselves to a certain extent, but then on a global sense, we're all part of the same planet, right? We all eat, sleep, shit, fart, reproduce the same. And we're all on this big ball together, so there has to be, I think, personally, some type of interaction amongst everybody. But, man, there's just so many different people and cultures and ideas. It's complicated. I don't know what the answer is. That's why I'll never go into politics.
Burn it down, start over. I think that's what happens
the way
anyway.
we're going, it will burn down, and we probably will start over. So careful what you wish for, because you might get it.
But how long do you think before we, it's accepted in regular society that our history is different? Like, we're getting close. Like you said, things are opening up a little bit. What do you think? 5 or 10 years, it'll look completely different, or are things moving faster than that, or slower?
I tend to be an optimist about these things, and with things like the internet and our cell phones, with instant communication, can you imagine doing the research that we're able to do now? Even 25, 30 years ago, I remember before the internet. I mean, my God, you had to send away to get a book. You had to write letters to people. And it took forever. And so I think that was part of the reason why a lot of these paradigms didn't come down very fast, because, it just took longer for things to happen. But now it happens instantaneously. Yeah. And because of that, there's more knowledge, there's better preparation, there's more efficiency, and things are just happening at a lightning pace. So I think it's going to change rather quickly. And, these lies and this BS that many of these institutions have been able to perpetrate for a long time, they just can't do it anymore. I mean, people are just going, are you kidding me? Not anymore, because they have the facts at their fingertips, like that. Yeah. So I think it'll happen quickly. I really do.
Yeah. The only problem with that is, now we're learning about this new Google bias, where Google's, not even trying, they're affecting everything. So, I mean, if they're actually trying, we're in real trouble. But
well, and you look at things like Wikipedia was so fraudulent and so awful when it comes to any of this stuff. I just tell people, well, even in colleges, I'm hearing from some of the kids I'm hiring, they tell us that in college, you can't use Wiki. If you use Wiki as one of your sources, your paper comes back.
Oh, that's
it's an
great.
automatic fail. I think that's great.
Yeah, didn't you have to try to sue them to get your page down or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people were putting stuff on there that was just wrong. And I went on there and changed it, and they said, well, you can't change your own page. I said, well, that's wrong. I said, that's false. And I said, I don't want it up there. Well, tough shit. You're going to have to deal with it. And I said, well, no, I'm not. And I said, take it down. And they said, well, we're not taking it down. I said, yes, you are. You're either going to take it down or I'm going to sue you. So eventually they did. I mean, look, my life, my self-worth is not defined by whether or not I have a wiki page on Google. I could care less if I have a wiki page. People that want to know who I am or understand my research will read my books, or they'll contact me directly, and I'll interact with them.
Yeah,
I don't need Wikipedia.
But that's where the conspiracy comes in that Darren was talking about, because that's not just a troll. There's people that are there to
they think they're doing what's best.
Yeah, to try and
That's what the problem is. It's not even dark.
They are sanitizing certain pages that to make sure that certain history doesn't get out. Let me give you an example. If you guys Google Kensington runestone, okay. Now it's a fact, and I'm not bragging when I say this, because the guy that probably knew more than me died a couple years ago. Right now, today, Scott Wolter knows more about the Kensington runestone than anybody else on the face of the planet. I have published 4 books on the topic. I've given countless lectures. I've studied the artifact. I'm telling you, man, nobody knows more than me. You go on that website, on the wiki page, you will not see my name. You will not see any of my books referenced, nothing. Zero, zip, zilch. Everything that's on that site is total BS, okay? The only fact they got right was Olaf Ullman found the stone, and after that, you can toss it all away. But you know what is on that site? There is a reference. There is a book written by retired Professor Alice Kehoe from the University of Wisconsin, who wrote a book in 2005 called Examining a Research Question Holistically, the Kensington Runestone. That book is about our book, The Kensington Runestone, Compelling New Evidence, and in it she argues that we proved the runestone was a genuine medieval artifact, but the book she's talking about that's on the wiki page is not on the wiki page.
Yeah.
Now, go figure that one out.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, I'm on there right now. Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, so it's...
We don't even have a wiki page.
And here's about the Kensington runestone, and they just get BS on wiki because they think that's a reliable source.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We don't have a wiki page. It's probably a good thing when it does pop up, I'll probably be fucked. Well, we probably got time for one more question before we let you get to your dinner reservation. You go ahead, Graham.
No, I'm good. You want me to... All right. Well, are more of your book topics going to be part of the show if you get another season?
That's what you went with?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I will tell you that if I had my way, I would, I would do if we get another season, we will be doing the Cremona document, which is a compilation of Templar documents that reveals, and I think it's probably legitimate, but we need to do some more investigation. But it is a Templar document that is a compendium of documents. Some of the things it talks about, one is about the Templars digging under the Temple Mount.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 12th century, one of the legends is, what did they find? This document tells us exactly what they found. One of the things they found were more documents that talked about additional documents that had been taken over to the land of Onteora. Onteora is North America, where those documents from the 1st century had been hidden. one of the other documents in there talks about a voyage by the Templars in the 12th century to come over here and recover those documents that were brought over here in the 1st century. One of the documents that was hidden here was the marriage document between Yeshua, more commonly known as Jesus, and Mary Magdalene. That's one of the stories I would like to do.
Nice.
Another one I would like to do is an episode about Leonardo da Vinci, who some people claim created the Shroud of Turin for the Roman Catholic Church in exchange for the church backing off on persecuting the scientists of the 14th and 15th and 16th centuries.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you get that new season, do you feel like you'll have some pretty good creative control over it? Like, do you have that feeling now with this season too?
Well, yes. I mean, let's face it, I have control over what comes out of my own mouth, right? So that's one way I can control things. But, you know, we work together very closely with the production company, Committee Films, who does really a fantastic job. And, you know, the network, they want to make a good show that people are going to enjoy. And our network executive, Daniel Schwartz, is a fantastic guy. He does a really good job. And he has final say over what these episodes look like. And I have to say, seriously, I'm very pleased. They make me look way better than I am, way smarter than I am, and I really appreciate it. But you know what? I will tell you this. If I have to put my foot down on something, I'll do it. And but it never really gets too contentious, because if there's something that's out of whack, they recognize it too. So
Nice.
we really have a good working relationship, and I'm having the time of my life, and I just hope we get to continue it, because really we're just getting started with some of the things that we can bring to the world. I think will help change it, and I know that people will be educated, they're going to learn something, and they're going to have fun doing it. So let's keep the party going.
Yeah, that's great. And let us know when your new book comes out, and we'll talk about it on the show here. And
Let us know when you want to do an event. We'll get you and Randall together. We'll meet up someplace and we'll have a fucking party.
Hey, man, that sounds great. You get a couple beers in me, you think I talk now.
Yeah, well, last time we were in Colorado, because it's a nice legal state, and we rented a couple buses, and, well, they were more like big vans. But we had a blast. We went to Mesa Verde a couple times, Chimney Rock a couple times.
Oh, man.
And
sounds good. Well, put me on the list, man. Let's do it.
all right.
The book will be out in about a month, so
Okay.
if you guys want to get together, I've got some huge reveals in this book that are going to blow people's minds, so let's do it.
Right on.
maybe we'll go on a Grail tour.
Thanks a lot.
Find the Holy Grail.
We'll go on a Grail quest.
There we go. All right, Scott, enjoy your dinner, and come back anytime.
All right. Hey, guys, thanks so much. And, hey, everybody, watch the show tonight, the Haymarket Affair, 9 o'clock on Travel Channel. It's going to be great. If you're interested in seeing any of my books, go to www.hookedx.com, and I sign all books bought off my website. And if you want to get in my grill about something, I've written about every single episode, including tonight's. I'll post it after the show. Go to my blog, which is www.scottwolteranswers.blogspot.com. How was that for getting out my stuff?
Fantastic. I'll put all
Perfect.
the links to that in the show notes, and we're good to go.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, thanks so much. I really appreciate you taking the time and letting me flap my guns. I really thank you for it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, too. Have a lovely night.
All right, guys. See you later.
See ya.
And that was our chat with Scott Wolter. What'd you think, buddy?
That was good. Yeah,
That was good,
I'm
wasn't it?
glad we got a little political there. It was awesome to look at it that way.
The first little bit was pretty
The
Masonic.
Templars were here, created the Constitution in the States, and is taken over by the Catholics.
Yeah, it was a good show. I was actually surprised he was willing to go in a lot of different directions there with the
Yeah.
new season on the line.
Yeah, man. I was surprised at how he pushed back so hard on regular TV, the mainstream paradigm. Wonder if that's why the History Channel didn't want to bring him back. Actually, I think they got bought out. So they got bought
The
out.
History
after
Channel is on like season 14 of Ancient Aliens.
No, it's H2 was. I think.
Oh,
But anyways, they got bought out and they didn't bring him back. So interesting. And then the Travel Channel picked it up.
that's The Travel Channel?
Yeah.
That's who's busting it open these days?
Yeah. Except you can't get it in Canada,
I mean,
though.
honestly, he could transition into his own thing pretty easily, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Jump onto YouTube, hire a cameraman. I'm sure he's got a cameraman in the audience that could pick it up. If anything ever happens, Scott, you give us a call. We'll get you back on the road. No time flat. We'll fix that flat tire. So, yeah, that'd be great to see an episode with him and Randall.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine him and Randall and Hancock just rolling around Washington State.
That Freemason thing, I mean, honestly, how many of the guests that we've had on that are Freemasons are doing just incredible work, deep research, and great guys, super open-minded, talk about anything. I don't know. I feel, that's good. I think they get a bad rap in general.
So
From
do
the
I.
conspiracy angle,
So do I. That's probably by design.
What do you mean?
Infighting.
Yeah. What?
I mean, we have
No.
Randall on and we get called Masonic shills. That's
That
why,
was a long
I
time
mean,
ago.
honestly.
You can't even go by that. That was one troll like 5 years ago. You
No, the
can't.
Mason thing constantly comes
You
up.
think?
I just
Really?
stopped addressing it.
Oh, really?
Same thing whenever we have Pat Militek on.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
And the Hollywood guy, the Hollywood decoder guy, remember? Symbolism, Robert Sullivan, the fourth?
No one noticed that.
No, eh?
He comes on to talk about Masonry, so I think that's like some more leeway there. It's when people throw in the Mason thing. So someone thinks they're coming to hear about ancient histories. Someone mentions Masons and they're just fucking triggered.
Wow.
And that's it. I was actually going to make the comment that when he started talking about some of that stuff, I could just hear the keyboards typing. Anyway, my grandpa and my uncle were both Masons.
Really?
Yeah.
Why don't you? Can you get in extra
They
easy
both-
if
they both
they're
dead now, so.
well? You must be able to show proof or something.
I don't know how that
Did
would
they
work.
ever teach you the handshake? You can just go in.
No,
and shake their
I was
hand
too
and get
young,
in?
way
Yeah.
too young. Yeah, my grandpa died when I was like,
Your grandpa's a Mason. Does he have any documents you could look at or any
I don't
research?
know.
I mean,
That's the problem. Is grandma's died now too, so I don't have access to that stuff. I was thinking about the other day. Is like if I could have anyone on 13 questions, it'd probably be my grandpa, because it's just like never had the chance.
Yeah.
You said your dad,
yeah.
but what can you do?
Yeah.
You can't go back, unfortunately. But yeah, my uncle and my grandpa were both Masons, and I've thought about it, but I was just like, it's bad for the show.
Jeez,
People find out I'm a Mason.
I just saw Adam's text pop through. His grandpa was a Mason too. Wanted
People,
him to join.
if I was a Mason, that'd be it.
Because didn't we hear that
Our
there's
limited
not,
credibility would be out the window.
Because we have some friends that have just joined up as well, and didn't they say that they're sort of hurting for younger talent?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's. I don't know if we're talking about the same people, but I know some people that have started going to the dinners and they haven't actually pledged yet.
At dinners?
Yeah, apparently there's an open dinner every month you can just go to, say hello, and you get a free meal. So I mean, I might just take the free meal.
No,
I'm just kidding. Let's not talk about this anymore on the show.
All right.
Anything else? Do everything. The show notes. Review the show, because like 1% of you review the show, and that's not good enough. I think you can get that up to 5% this month. So if you haven't reviewed the show, go review the show. I know for a fact that like 10,000 of you people are listening on directly through an iTunes device. So, but there should be more reviews. I'll leave it at that.
Can you do that right from like?
No, I can just
right
see
from there?
who's playing on Apple Core Media.
No, I'm saying, can those people just go?
I don't know. No, I think you got to go to iTunes. There's a link in
can't
the
do it
show
on your
notes.
device?
You see it? I see it. Grimerica.ca/iTunes. Your device will take you right there. If it's an Apple device. Boom. Review. 5-star. Move on. And then support the show. Grimerica.ca/support, because we can't do this without you guys. Grimerica.ca/support. Honestly, you guys have been stepping up a little bit lately. We're going to run the numbers at the end of the month, see if we got up to 1%. We might be close. Now let's go for 3%. Graham's been saying 3% for years. I've been saying let's get to 1 first. We might be at 1. So don't be a cucker. Support this motherfucker. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
I'm walking gingerly through the rat race. Take a look at the big old smile on my face. Kicking around down by the pool of narcissists. The people are many, they preen themselves, oh how they navel gaze. Somewhere over that hill, the gloomy skies cease to exist. I'm climbing that hill I pass by and pity the poor Sisyphus. I go into hyperdrive, turn into a beam of light. I'm strolling down aesthetic electric avenue. The people are predictable. They say, good morning, how do you do? When out of nowhere, a randomly pure angel in the crosswalk bumps into me, and in doing so knocks all the evil and all the wind out of me. And it's black as tar, ugly as ever, and of no apology. This angelic mama sings heavenly of the truest theology. Together we're a seraphim dream, forever young with no chronology. 1,000 years from now we'll be written into ancient mythology. We go into hyperdrive, turn into a beam of light. Can you tell me about the view up there? It's sparkling remarkably, the air is crystal clear. Well, please won't you tell me what it takes to transcend this place? A little bit of heart and a whole lot of soul. Take a look at the big old smile on my face, as my angel says, dance with me and your life will never, ever, ever be dull. I go into hyperdrive, turn into a beam of light. 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 Turn into a beam of light.
Graham.